evening. It's Wednesday night, and it's time for 90 minutes of news from across the nation, treated with the extra touch of details, views, and key insight on issues on the front burner of national life. We will be x-raying events of the past days and providing new perspectives on developing stories. Tonight, police apprehend illegal refiners and oil bunkers in major crackdown on activities of outlaws in different parts of the country. On infrastructure, we'll take a closer look at the power sector with a dam full of questions. In our special series, we'll look at migration to the Western world. Is it a journey to hell or El Dorado? We also have updates on the nationwide protest still affecting activities in some locations. As usual, there will be reports on health with disturbing statistics from Borno. Live update from the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Badi Adeleye is with us. Of course, Nigeria is still searching for medals. And on business, we hear foreign investors are trooping into Nigeria to invest in a key sector. Ben will be telling us all about it later on. So, stay on the bit as the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Henry John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. And just before we begin, let's quickly tell you that Nigeria's the Tigers are currently taking on the United States team at the Paris 2024 Olympics. We do wish the Tigers the very best. Now, let's hit the road. The National Assembly Joint Committee investigating alleged economic sabotage in the Nigerian petroleum industry wants players in the sector to reach a common ground for stability and overall economic growth in Nigeria. The committee made the appeal during an interactive session with various stakeholders. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The intervention by the National Assembly in Nigeria's petroleum industry, says the chairman of the committee and Senate leader Okoyemi Bamidele, is imperative for sanity and economic prosperity, as the resource is Nigeria's major source of foreign exchange, the inflow of which reduces inflation. He added that getting Nigeria's local refineries working will make a huge difference.
A situation whereby we now depend almost entirely on the importation of these products, even when we daily supply the world about 2% of its crude oil requirements, is, to say the least, highly worrisome. It is unfair and unpatriotic to treat government business as an orphan while private businesses are flourishing.
Developments in the sector in terms of industry performance have not been as desired, going by the submissions of participants as they shared perspectives on current situation.
This is one sector that is bedeviled by a lot of misinformation. I'm very happy that today we have an opportunity to be able to straighten some of those misinformations.
No one can deny that smuggling takes place across our border, but for PMS and every other commodity that you can think of. This is real, Mr. Chairman. When the details come, we will tell you what we know.
Concerns that have been expressed and around monopoly, that is a problem that has been identified. The right thing to do is to say, how do we address this problem, while at the same time ensuring that we protect our domestic industries.
Minister of Finance Wale Edun says President Tinubu is making efforts to transform the industry and calls for cooperation from across board.
Mr. President has signed some executive orders which have meant that oil and gas investments, particularly in the gas sector, have started to flow back. We saw a $500 million investment just a couple of weeks ago.
The value chain in the downstream should be sustained to allow other investors to continue to play their role effectively.
The investigation aims to engender accountability and transparency in the petroleum industry. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives says the House leadership has not received endorsement for the appointment of any committee chairman in the Green Chamber. House spokesman Akin Rotimi says this clarification has become necessary following speculations in some sections of the media over the dissolution of the ad hoc committee on oil and gas by the leadership of the House. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikme will tell us more.
House spokesman Akin Rotimi in a statement was emphatic that the dissolution of the Joint Ad Hoc Committee investigating challenges in the oil and gas sector was not as a result of any rift between the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, as insinuated in some sections of the media. He stressed that the House leadership dissolved the Ad Hoc Committee to ensure independence and effectiveness of the investigation. On his part, Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu says he is firmly in support of the dissolution of the Joint Committee, probing the activities of Nigeria's midstream and downstream petroleum sector, and that all principal officers of the House are on the same page on the issue. Representative Ugochinyere Ikeagwonu has equally debunked allegations that he gave $1.7 million to Speaker Abbas and the House leadership to secure the chairmanship position of the disbanded committee, describing the allegation as the handiwork of paid agents on a failed mission to smear the image of the House. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives says it remains committed to redeeming its resolution of 50% reduction in the salaries of members for 6 months to cushion the living condition of Nigerians. House spokesman Akin Rotimi explained that the delay in implementing the resolution is bureaucratic in nature, as the salary cut could not be enforced in the month of July due to necessary administrative procedures and coordination with financial institutions. He assured Nigerians that instructions for effecting the 50% salary cut have since been issued to relevant financial institutions and will be enforced moving forward. The House spokesman clarified that the actual monthly salary for lawmakers in the Green Chamber is 600,000 naira after deductions for advances such as housing, which are paid at the commencement of the tenure. Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
And we're from the National Assembly now. 13 trucks loaded with petroleum products and 17 suspects have been arrested by operatives of the IGP Special Task Force on Petroleum and Illegal Bunkering. Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi, in a media briefing in Abuja, says this success is part of commitment by the force to increase oil production in the country as directed by the President. Francis Fong brings us details.
Efforts of the federal government of Nigeria to combat oil thefts and economic sabotage is yielding the desired result, as the Inspector General of Police Special Task Force on Petroleum and Illegal Bunkering has in the last 4 weeks made some significant strides in curbing these illicit activities surrounding petroleum thefts and illegal bunkering.
We were able to recover 250,000 liters of good oil, 350,000 liters of AGO, and 13 trucks recovered, 17 persons arrested, and 118,000 liters of PMS recovered from all these criminal activities.
We are working together with other security agencies, especially the military and the private security agency recognized by the government, especially called Tantita. So we are determined to make sure the production has been requested by the Nigerian people and directed by the Nigerian government that is improved within the shortest possible time.
Interim forfeiture order with respect to some of the vessels, trucks, and products to be kept under the custody of the force, sorted and granted by the court. This success recorded is sequel to the meeting held amongst the heads of various security agencies, where they promised to bring down oil thefts and pipeline vandalism in the country. Meanwhile, chairman of the Police Service Commission, DIG Hashimu Argungu retired, calls for stiffer penalties and transparency in Nigerian procurement activities and practices. He laments the recurring issues of circumvention of some provisions of the Procurement Act, such as contract splitting and variation. This was at the 5th edition of the Commission's Arena of Knowledge weekly lecture series, held at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Francis from NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekpo, has assured Nigerians of President Bola Tinubu's resolve to address the energy concerns of the country. The minister gave the assurance while speaking to journalists at the end of the inspection tour on the NCDMB's Ran gas facility under construction, among other projects in Bayelsa State. Aya Preze reports.
Apart from crude oil, Nigeria is also blessed with large deposits of gas resources that can impact the nation's economy when fully harnessed. With the growing high cost of petroleum motor spirit, there is therefore every reason to tend to compressed natural gas, which is cheaper. It is against this backdrop the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Gas, Ekpo, who was on the facility inspection tour to Bayelsa, assured Nigerians of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to the sector with a view to turning around the economy of the nation.
So we should try as much as possible in the NCDMB, as I said earlier, to encourage investors, private sectors to develop CNG so as to meet with the demands of our country, Nigeria. Within the span of 1 year, more things has been done. In the next 2-3 years, we will see all the projects that we have put in place coming into fruition.
Executive Secretary, NCDMB, Mr. Felix Umashola Ogbe, in his part, expressed commitment to improve delivery of the mandate of the board.
We have a tax, and with the directive of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have a tax on our hands. We're going to drive the process, and we're going to improve from where we are now. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we move NCDMB from the current position to 70% by 2027.
The minister was taking round various projects by the NCDMB, which include 10 megawatts power plant, NCDMB hotels and conference tower, NCDMB crèche and fire station, as well as the Run gas facility, expected to produce gas cylinders upon completion. In Yenagoa, Aya Prezi, NG News.
In other news, the opening ceremony of the 42nd Ordinary Meeting of ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff has been concluded at the Defense Headquarters, Abuja. Despite absence of the defense chiefs of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, which earlier announced their withdrawal from ECOWAS, key players called for greater regional cooperation to surmount emerging challenges in the region. Defense correspondent Najato Tijani has more.
Some of the challenges and emerging threats come against the backdrop of growing regional insecurity, aggravated by the recent withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, which has left a security vacuum.
This development required extraordinary political intervention, which obliged the Commission to pivot towards extraordinary sessions of the committee at the expense of holding at least one ordinary meeting per annum.
It becomes obvious that it is only through our collective strength and shared expertise that we can effectively address those issues and work towards long-lasting solutions.
This situation in the West African region. Your presence here today reflects a shared commitment and dedication towards building and maintaining a secure environment for the safety and well-being of our people.
Then we need to ensure that democracy continues to flourish in our subregion.
Stakeholders highlighted the emerging threats of organized crime, including human trafficking, drug smuggling, and cybercrime. In the coming days, one can expect to see more on regional security, counter-terrorism, and other salient issues in the region, including training and retraining of personnel and more joint cooperation. It is also expected that there will be a discussion on filling the gaps that the withdrawal has left, especially in the areas of counter-terrorism. The outcome of this meeting will be crucial in shaping ECOWAS' response to the emerging security threats in the region, say industry players. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Let's talk education now, as the federal government is making plans to mop up children and youths from the streets through skills acquisition, which is one of the key objectives of the Renewed Hope agenda. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, at a stakeholders engagement in Abuja, says the first step is reviving technical colleges in the country. Zenret Digmon reports.
Sequel to the pre-validation of the draft national policy on skills development in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Education is making good its pledge to ensure the present administration's agenda on transforming education is fully realized. But first, stakeholders are here to look into the challenges of skill acquisition and profile workable solutions towards achieving the desired goal.
We plan to train about 200,000 Nigerians and give them jobs. And the public and private sector are going to be involved in that have the appropriate skilling sets, training sets, will participate in it. So if the technical colleges are well endowed and well resourced, this is an opportunity for you.
Technical education, where it's strongly pursued, it improves our workforce and also promote and enhance industrial development. This, I've mentioned, key exactly into the 8-point agenda of Mr. President. I'm glad to say that in the last 1 year, we have constructed over 53 vocational secondary schools that have been handed over to the state government in various states.
The ministry envisages a highly specialized and entrepreneurial youth population in the nearest future. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmoon, NTA News.
Let's take a break. News Extra continues shortly. Welcome back. Amid the ongoing nationwide protest against economic hardship, Nigerian youths have been enjoined not to allow themselves be used as tools for infrastructural destruction. The Minister of State, Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, gave the advice while inaugurating the distribution of food palliatives to Imo youths in Owerri. Kingsley Ononiwo's report is presented from the studio.
The Minister of State, Youth Development, while flagging off Imo Government Talent Program and distribution of palliatives to youths in Imo State by the state government, says President Bola Tinubu is determined to move the country forward for the good of all and sundry. He therefore advised Nigerian youths not to succumb to the evil plans of selfish politicians seeking to destroy the fabric of the nation.
Don't let anybody deceive us. Nigerian is our country. Don't let anybody deceive us. This is what we can build together.
Governor Uzodimma, who was represented at the event by his Chief of Staff, Nnamdi Anyeye, assured that the interests of the youths will continue to be one of the top priorities of his administration.
Imo youth, thank you for shunning to embark on the nationwide protest.
His Excellency is rolling out a lot of programs to make sure our youth will no longer be idle.
Items distributed to the youths and students by Imo State government include cartons of noodles and bags of rice.
Away from Owerri now, let's head to Damaturu, where farmers have started receiving farming implements and inputs, and that they recently launched a mega agricultural empowerment program by Yobe State government. This is viewed as a way to unlock the state's agricultural potential and create job opportunities through the use of modern agricultural practice for enhanced food production. This revolutionary drive by the state government is in tandem with the federal government's food security and agricultural mechanization agenda. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
The Mega Agricultural Empowerment Program by Yobe State Government, which recently had the blessings of President Bola Tinubu, is adjudged to be the biggest agricultural intervention in the history of the 33-year-old state. This is in view of the number of beneficiaries, quality and quantity of the implements and farming inputs worth billions of naira, envisioned to serve as catalyst for revolutionizing agricultural sector for sustainable food security in the state. The distribution committees set up by the state have distributed these implements and inputs to deserving beneficiaries in 5 local government areas of Yobe East Zone. Gulani is one of the local government areas where 360 beneficiaries from its 12 wards have taken possession of the inputs.
I have benefited from dry season farming equipment, which has been given to me, the solar-powered borehole, which we can be used for irrigation farming.
These items you are seeing are given to our peasant farmers free of charge. Nobody is paying a kobo.
They are pleading with beneficiaries not to sell these items. They should use them for the purpose intended.
The massive agricultural intervention by Yobe State government is also to encourage farmers to shift from subsistence farming to mechanized agricultural practice. The idea is to boost food production in the state.
The beneficiaries of the program in Tarmua, Gaidam, Yunusari and Bursari local government areas have also received their allocations done in an open and transparent way. The distribution exercise to commence in the remaining 2 local government areas of Yobe East Zone, as well as others in Zone B and C of the state in due course, with the target of reaching out to 5,340 beneficiaries across the 178 wards of the state. In the Matru, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA.
Away from agriculture, let's take a look at the power sector because with bold decisions and sustained interventions in the last 1 year, there are indications that Nigeria's power sector is on the right trajectory to power the nation and build a resilient economy. Joshua Ojito reports on some of the gains of the sector aimed at ensuring availability, reliability and affordability of electricity.
Acknowledging the fact that sustainable economy is built on availability of electricity supply, the current administration says initiatives and interventions to wrap up generation and strengthen capacity of the grid are being implemented. Notable among is the concessioning of the newly built Zungeru hydropower plant, which is already generating additional 700 megawatts of electricity to the grid, as contractors have been mobilized to resume work on sites of abandoned power projects. This perhaps is responsible for the current improvement in electricity supply nationwide as power generation increases.
The electricity around this area is quite okay. It may not be 24 hours. Probably it could be 15, some it could be 12, it depends, but it's still okay.
We have been able to stimulate demand because the discourse must meet a minimum supply for band A, you understand? And whatever is left is not enough to satisfy other bands. So they are asking for more power supply from the generating companies. That's the way to go. And the generating companies, unlike what they used to experience when discos were returning or rejecting power, now they are asking for more to enable them to serve other bands.
There are also generations from the mini-grid and off-grid, as well as solar home systems, targeting electrification of unserved and underserved communities, including universities and healthcare facilities.
We impacted about 7.8 million lives in the country. We have connected 1.8 million
houses. We have developed 150 mini grids and also deployed over 1.5 million solar home systems across the country.
Although Nigeria is yet to achieve energy sufficiency, but industry players believe that if the current momentum of interventions in the sector are sustained, the country will achieve its target of improved supply nationwide. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Let's look at other issues now, as President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of 50 Nigerians to the governing councils of some federal universities and other tertiary institutions of learning. Nigerian Maritime University, Okorenkoko, Delta State, has Temi Harriman as the chairman and 4 other members. Nigerian University of Science and Technology, Abuja, is being chaired by Rabi Mudi Bala and has other 4 members as well. Federal University of Agriculture, Basambiri Bayelsa, also has 5 members, and Bram Biafra is the chairman, while Amadou Barau Banye Salisu chairs that of Federal University of Health Sciences, Kwale, Delta State, with 4 other members. The Federal University of Medical Sciences, Katsina State, has 5 members, as well with Habib Mohammed Ibrahim as the chairman. Federal University of Agriculture, Mubi, Adamawa State, also has 5 members, with Rukiatu Abdulkarim Gurin as the chairman. Others are Admiralty University, Ibusa, Delta State, which also has 5 members and will be chaired by Yusuf Mohammed. Labiru Musa Kafur is the governing council chairman for the Nigeria French language village, Badagry, Lagos State, and will serve with 4 other members. National Institute of Nigerian Languages, Aba, Abia State, has Victor Ukaogo as chairman and will serve with other 4 members. Awal Bawa Morike will serve as chairman for the Nigerian Army University, Biu, Borno State, with 4 other members. The Federal University of Medicine and Medical Sciences, Abeokuta, Ogun State, also has 5 members, with Usman Mohammed Shanawa as chairman. Nigeria Arabic Language Village, Gamburu, Borno State, has Ahmed Wambai as chairman, with 4 other members. National Mathematical Center, Sheda, Kwali FCT, also has Edna Unjoku as the chairman, with 4 other members. The president expects that the new members of the governing boards of these institutions will perform their functions effectively and creditably and within the ambits of their statutory responsibilities. In other news, Nigeria is sailing smoothly towards becoming a pharmaceutical hub, with government and other relevant agencies working towards stimulating local production to meet the 10 to 20% target from level 0 to by 2030. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has engaged experts on unlocking the health value chain as its second regional workshop on manufacturing of active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs, and excipients in Nigeria, developing guidelines and regulations.
Data from the World Health Organization reveals that in Africa, between 70 and 100% of medicines and other medical products are imported, with limited or no manufacturing capacity for active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs, excipients, and medical devices. These experts from sub-Saharan Africa are here at the instance of NAFDAC to address the problem.
When you talk of access to medicine, then you have to unlock the healthcare value chain.
We have to ensure that all the measures, all the standards are in place before we start producing at scale.
Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, reaffirmed government's commitment towards providing conducive atmosphere for manufacturers.
Local production in Nigeria, in Africa, does not mean lower quality products. We're actually talking about local production of products that will meet global standards.
For pharmaceutical manufacturers, the initiative will transform the sector.
This is the way to go. Right now, we import every API that we use to manufacture medicines in Nigeria. And when you import, it increases your overhead.
Nigeria is now on maturity level 3 and heading towards 4, an impressive development which experts believe will position the country as one of the major pharmaceutical manufacturers in Africa. In Lagos, Hingino, John Adams, NTA News.
Still on health, beside the Boko Haram insurgency, Borno State faces another formidable challenge known as kidney disease. The high cost of treatment is out of reach for many, leading to death and making it a significant threat to the population's well-being. Pauline Kujay-Vana seeks to highlight causes and efforts being made to address this growing health concern.
The high prevalence of kidney disease in Borno State remains a pressing public health concern, so much that an average citizen of the state cannot claim ignorance about the phenomenon.
Intake of some toxins, like the ones that is being spread on beans, others are being spread on fish. Commonly in this environment in Borno State, life habit and the environmental temperature are the attributing factors that contributes to more kidney failure than even the hypertension and diabetes.
The state government is determined to combat this health crisis and hence set up a committee of experts to investigate further causes and develop strategies to combat the disease.
The research is ongoing and the government is waiting for the outcome. There is a proposal for the expansion of the kidney center. And in our proposal, the government will establish a dialysis center in all the senatorial zones.
To also provide immediate relief, the Borno State government established a dialysis center at the State Specialist Hospital, providing free dialysis services to patients, with over 500 to 600 sessions being conducted monthly.
In a week, somebody can spend almost 80,000. Each patient is supposed to have twice sessions a week, which means in a week, patient can spend 160,000 for dialysis. Meanwhile, here is a free dialysis. Nobody can receive any cash from the patients.
Patients and their relatives have expressed gratitude to the state government for this initiative.
Thank God for government to help us with the items that we will do dialysis with it, and people that's working here they are maintaining us well.
40,000 naira for this dialysis, EMTH. We are not financially capable to continue there. That's the reason why we so. In the UMTH, that's why we brought her here. The state government, especially Governor Salim, we thank him.
Kidney disease has been known for stealing souls in Maiduguri, but the case may no longer be dreadful as before in view of this giant measure taken by Borno State government to decimate the disease. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujay-Vana, NTA News.
Thumbs up to the government of Borno State there. Now let's see this. In recent years, Africa has witnessed a surge in mass movement of its young people, who also constitute its present and future workforce, and a phenomenon colloquially known as Jakba. In this special report, Mina Daniels takes a look at some of the horrific experiences encountered in the quest for greener pastures.
Migration, a constant wheel that keeps roving. It is the nature of man to be peripatetic in search of job opportunities. For some reasons often tagged volatile economy, Africans, including Nigerian youths, journey to the woods. Here is 28-year-old Margaret, a graduate of computer science of one of Nigeria's universities and the first child of a low-income family of 5. Margaret has decided to take flight out of Nigeria. I got the wings, so I laid ambush.
We are poor. I have siblings. I finished school since 7 years ago.
Truth be told, most Nigerians in the diaspora have distinguished themselves in different human enterprises, and they constitute a financial bulwark for those countries. But there's been loads of horrific stories, some untold, about what African migrants go through while running away from their country. Let's share the experience of another Nigerian who made it to the other side.
Now, the bandits in the desert asked that a particular woman comes out from the car because they want to have, they wanted to rape her anyway, but she refused because the husband was there, because the husband resisted them. What did they do? They killed the husband. When a particular passenger is sick or becomes weak and that cannot continue the journey, what he tells the other passenger is that he does not want the weakness of one passenger to affect the smoothness of that journey.
Indeed, the federal government of Nigeria is not folding its hands and watching its youngsters taking precipitous flights out of the country in drones. The exodus of young promising Nigerians have immense effects on the economy, as these are mostly professionals in diverse fields who should be contributing to the development of their home country. The medical field is a case in point.
Most of the Nigerians relocating are the youth, and this in turn makes a downward turn on labor and productivity in the country.
Whatever the case, it is important to know that Nigeria's economic state is not a hopeless case. Government's efforts at rejigging it can be supplemented by the private sector by creating more vibrant working opportunities and environment good enough to attract and keep our young talents and subsequently boost the Nigerian economy. In Abuja, Mina Daniels, NTA News.
Many thanks, Mina. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Take note. Following the recent crisis in a number of cities in the United Kingdom, British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Dr. Richard Montgomery, has assured the large diaspora population of Nigerians in the UK of their safety and security. In a meeting in Abuja with Chairman NITCOM, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, the UK High Commissioner said 12 towns in total were affected by the disorder and assured that the UK government is doing everything possible to restore calm and normalcy to the affected communities, having set up 60 special courts comprising of the UK police and legal operatives to look into the criminal disorder. Dr. Montgomery also noted that about 430,000 visa applications by Nigerians were successful this year, but advised visa applicants to apply by themselves and be circumspect of agents. The NITCOM boss, while applauding the UK government for their timely interventions, particularly the arrest made so far, advised Nigerians in the UK to stay safe and be cautious of their surroundings, particularly at this time. Delegates at the 8th Asia-Pacific Broadcasting Union Media Summit on Climate Action and Disaster Prevention have agreed to play strategic roles in saving lives and ecosystems. Jennifer Igwe reports that the meeting in Bali, Indonesia, is a reminder of what can happen if early warnings do not exist in disaster prevention.
A tsunami alarm. Delegates promptly moved to higher and safer area following the well-defined tsunami emergency evacuation and escape route. Thankfully, it was just a simulation.
Years ago, when there was no warning system in place, victims had no way of escaping. In Indonesia today and many nations around the world, early warning systems exist, and the media are a crucial part of this.
The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami in Indonesia was one of the deadliest disasters ever recorded in history. So Indonesia hosting the 8th Asia-Pacific Broadcasting Union Summit on Climate Action and Disaster Prevention is strategic.
Sometime in the evening, there was another warning of tsunami. And I remember nobody slept. Nobody slept until the morning next day. But now, even a tsunami warning comes, we sleep well because we are now informed. We know what it is. We know what to look for. This is the power of media. This is the power of creating awareness.
With climate change presenting more extreme weather events and climate crisis, ensuring the media is well positioned to prevent the catastrophic impact of disasters is essential.
I think the media also has an important role to play in finding the bright spots after a disaster. What are the communities that were most resilient? What did they do differently? Can we learn from them?
At the end of the summit, broadcasting organizations agreed to create ecosystem for effective dissemination of accurate, timely, understandable, and actionable early warnings. From Bali, Indonesia, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
Many thanks, Jennifer. Now, the need to stop deforestation and promote tree planting, growth and maintenance to reduce the impact of greenhouse gas emissions on humans was discussed at a workshop in Lokoja. The event also focused on developing environmental rights and policies for women and youths. Here's a report.
The world continues to face the impact of climate change, with Kogi State in Nigeria being one of the regions affected. Annual flooding in the state causes fatalities, destroys livelihoods and damages infrastructure, particularly in Lokoja. Additionally, the unsustainable exploitation of natural resources, especially coal, has led to environmental damage and health risks due to illegal mining. In response to these challenges, the Climate and Sustainable Development Network and Green for Life initiative organized a workshop for women and youth on environmental rights, accountability, and policy development for green growth in Kogi State.
By the time we keep falling trees, destroying our forests just because we are hungry, not sooner than later, the disaster will be worse than hunger. And so we continue to encourage people, please stop deforestation.
The world is at war today with a common enemy which we do not know, and that common enemy is the climate change.
This effort is one of the ways to mitigate against all this climate change negative part of it. So it's going to be a policy in the university now.
As part of the initiative, trees were planted to mitigate the effect of climate change on the university community.
And in Kano, the Great Green Wall targets to plant more than 200,000 trees in Kano alone as part of its initiative across the 11 frontline states. Elizabeth Yila reports that the effort is part of the core mandate of the agency towards mitigating impact of global warming and desertification.
In Dambata local government area of Kano, residents are facing significant challenges due to land degradation, desertification, and both natural and human-induced erosion. To combat this escalating issue, the National Agency for the Great Green Wall conducts an annual tree planting and beating up exercise to rehabilitate the affected lands.
Here in Kano, we are planting 176 hectares. That's approximately 200,000 seedlings to restore degraded lands and also to improve the livelihood of the communities.
We have 2 central nurseries here in Kano, and then we have about 5 community nurseries. We've raised over 10 species of different variety of seedlings.
In Dama, Fogwalawa, within the Dambata local government, the community, led by the village head, actively participated in supporting the agency's efforts.
I brought people to help and let them know that we are aware of its value. They planted things that we no longer have in our community and are medicinal.
I'm standing on a degraded land that has over the years been infertile and not of use to farmers living in this community. However, it is believed with interventions such as that of the Great Green Wall, this will be a thing of the past, as is evident with the trees that have already been planted years ago and are already blooming. It is believed that where I'm standing right now will also one day stand tall with trees. From Kano, Elizabeth Yila, NTA News.
Elizabeth, we're as optimistic as you are too on that one. All right, we'll take another break. Stay with us. Thank you for remaining with us. Gombe State government and all stakeholders in the search for ways and means by which peaceful coexistence can be firmly established say they would not relent in their efforts to ensure no breach of peace, safety of lives and property in the state. Emmanuel Akila reports that this is the bottom line of discussions during the State Security Council meeting.
The Security Council meeting, chaired by Governor Muhammad Ino Yahya, has heads of all security agencies in the state in attendance. Secretary to Gombe State Government, who briefed journalists at the end of the closed-door meeting, spoke on resolutions of the Council in relation to the current national protest in the state.
Council called on parents to take up their responsibilities towards curbing antisocial behavior among their children and wards.
Council's conclusions also include provision of immediate assistance to people of the state to ease the current economic difficulties.
The people should know that additional palliatives is on its way within the next few days. This is coming because His Excellency is deeply concerned by the hardship people are facing.
Gombe State Commissioner of Police, who spoke on behalf of the security agencies, commends the resilience of the people of Gombe State against the unruly attitude of few misguided youths who turned the protest violent.
Local protests are allowed. The only thing that we don't allow is for people to hijack it and to turn it into violent protests like what we witnessed in the state.
Traditional leaders and chairmen of local government areas are part of the expanded Security Council meeting in Gombe. Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
It's day 7 of the nationwide protest, and some states are still assessing the impact on businesses and human activities. Elizabeth Omori brings us an update from some states.
In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed reports that residents of the state are abiding by the 24-hour curfew imposed by the state government. The city says it's calm, while some shops were cited operating skeletally. Some were under lock and key. Security operatives are still mounted at various checkpoints to ensure compliance and safety of lives and property. Meanwhile, residents of Aba in Abia State are still assessing the impact of the protests on the nation and citizens.
We learned from experience. Most of these protests are hijacked by hoodlums.
If this goes like this, everything goes paralyzed. We don't no longer do anything. People see people suffering. You see breaking of burglaries here and there. But this time around, everywhere is very, very okay and quiet.
In Lokoja, peace advocates urge Kogi residents to remain calm, embrace dialogue, and give the federal government more time to improve the country's socio-economic conditions in order to deliver the dividends of democracy.
The havocs that the protest has caused is more than what the protest was deemed to achieve.
What I believe in is that let us dialogue, let us come to a round table, let us look at the brighter future for our country.
And in Bauchi State, Governor Bala Mohammed has relaxed the 24-hour curfew imposed on Azari town of Katagum, local government area of the state, to 12 hours. In a statement, the governor said the relaxation followed a careful review of the situation by the state government in conjunction with security agencies as normalcy gradually returns to the state. The governor further calls on law-abiding citizens to continue to cooperate with security agencies. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The Minister of Arts, Culture and the Creative Economy, Hanatu Musa Musawa, has inaugurated a technical committee that will be responsible for implementing the construction of the King Jaja of Opobo Historical and Cultural Center in Opobo, Rivers State. At the ceremony in Abuja, the minister said the project signifies a milestone in taking Nigeria's arts and cultural heritage to enviable heights. She noted that the center aligns with Nigeria's vision of utilizing the arts, culture and tourism sectors to create job opportunities for the teeming youths and contribute to the nation's gross domestic product.
This project really does signify a milestone in our collective resolve to take Nigeria's art and culture to great heights. Permit me to add that one of the ministry's core mandates is trying to immortalize our past heroes by promoting natural heritage and values.
The center will serve as a beacon of education, culture, and historical preservation, ensuring that future generations understand and appreciate the profound legacy of King Jaja.
She also highlighted the project's objectives, emphasizing the importance of partnership and collaborations. Let's now talk business. Benny is here. Benny, what's the latest?
So much in the world of business. I'll start by telling you that women contribute 88% of agricultural labor force in most of African countries, an activity that contributes 76% of Uganda's economy. Her Excellency Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, the first Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda and Minister of East African Community Affairs, is in Nigeria to share the Uganda's experience as calls for sustainability and development in empowering women for food security take center stage.
We've come to talk about empowering women to engage in mechanized agriculture. As you know, the bulk of our women on this continent are using the hand hoe. But now want to help them produce better quality, better quantities, and be able to have the kind of goods that can be exported.
I've done it in some African countries. But why Nigeria is, I am a Nigerian. Though some people think I am an Indian, I am a Nigerian. And no place like home.
Now, oil prices bounced back from multi-month lows on Wednesday on concerns that an escalating conflict in the Middle East could hurt oil production, even as worries about weak crude demand persisted. Brent crude futures were up $1.10 to $77.58 a barrel, while the U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up $1.05 to $74.25. On Monday, Brent futures slumped to their lowest since early January, and WTI futures touched their lowest since February, as the global stock market rout deepened on concerns of a potential recession in the United States after weak jobs data. And taking a look at the markets back home, it is the Bulls Day, where investors gained 96.79 billion naira as the all-share index advanced marginally by 0.18%. They closed at 97,098.98 basis points. At the end of today's trading session on the exchange, a total of 636.5 million shares in 9,744 deals, corresponding to a market value of 12.7 billion naira, were traded. Today's data shows a 42% improvement in volume, 90% improvement in turnover, and 4% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization is 55.1 trillion naira. On the aggregate, 119 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 27 gainers and 23 losers. Access Holdings recorded the highest volume of 113 million traded shares, followed by United Capital's 74.4 million, Guaranteed Trust Holdings 74.3 million, and Veritas Capital Assurance 55.4 million. That is business news. News Extra continues, but after this break, do stay with us.
Welcome back. Niger State government has taken delivery of more than 68,000 litres of NPK liquid fertilizer aimed at cushioning the devastating effects of the 2018 flood in the state. The benevolence, which was at the instance of the federal government, was presented by the National Emergency Management Agency to the state government in Mina. Dauda Mohammed reports.
The liquid gel fertilizer being supplied to Niger State government is the balance of NPK fertilizer approved for the state under the National Food Security Council Emergency Agricultural Intervention for states affected by the 2018 floods. Due to challenges of procurement, the granular fertilizer was substituted with the equally effective liquid gel fertilizer. The fertilizer distribution, which commenced in 2020, could not be completed due to some challenges which have now been addressed.
Fortunately, due to one reason or the other, it is today that actually the whole gesture is fulfilled. So, and this will go a long way in helping all the remaining local governments to ensure that yes, we distribute it timely because we're in the middle of rainy season, so that we can have at least a positive effect at the end of the season. So we thank federal government.
The Renew Hope agenda is about transparency and accountability. And NEMA being an accountable organization, a transparent organization, decided we should not leave it to ourselves alone. Our doors are open, our books are open.
1 liter of the liquid gel fertilizer is equivalent to a 50-kilogram bag of NPK fertilizer. In Mina, Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
Let's talk politics now, as Nigerians based in the United States of America on the platform of the governing All Progressives Congress has described some of the economic measures deployed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to speedily recover lost times as tough decisions with fruitful returns. This came to the fore during a high-level session with the Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje-led National Working Committee. Political correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
It's been 14 months into a 4-year mandate of the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu's presidency, and challenges are fighting back. But the APC chapter in the US says the government's interventions are positive and deliberate towards problem solving. The American chapter of the party condemns the nationwide protest, describing it as a major distraction to a government committed to achieving legacy projects that will spur rapid growth and development.
And I see some people protesting in Nigeria and carrying Russia flag. That is unpatriotic. Let's talk to ourselves. We cannot start carrying Russia flag in Nigeria. No.
Unless if you have strong institutions, you will find it difficult to implement whatever good policy you have. So Mr. President is doing all what is needed to be done, and it's a matter of time we will come out of this problem.
Similarly, the Confederation of APC support groups has appealed to Nigerian youth to shun any act that will trigger a repeat of national unrest and chaos, suggesting dialogue and support for government policies and programs as the way out.
Although Nigeria has survived these challenges, the nation continues to bear the scars. Many of the protesting youth may lack direct experience of these historical events, making it our responsibility to caution against actions that could destabilize the country and incite chaos.
The group commended the NNPC Limited for driving the much-needed reforms in the oil and gas sector in line with the renewed hope agenda of the federal government, funds intervention to states, students' loan, and food palliatives across the country. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Nigeria's election process has increasingly seen the integration of technology, particularly since 2014, when the smart card reader technology and automatic fingerprint identification system, permanent voters card, and election risk management tools were introduced. Since then, the Independent National Electoral Commission has introduced additional technological tools into the election process. These innovations have caught the attention of the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, which brought stakeholders to Abuja to dialogue further on election technology. Timothy Yusuf has all the details.
The continuous integration of technology in the nation's electoral system is meant to bring efficiency into the election process and enhance its credibility. However, despite this integration, public skepticism about the integrity of elections and the technological tools deployed continue to grow, which in turn negatively affects citizens' confidence in the country's elections.
While designers of technology can address the reliability issues and technical matters, the issue of the human factor is something that we collectively have to address.
Very often, the conversations on election technology is driven around the role of INEC and other state institutions and how they use technology. But platforms like Situation Room are also increasingly integrating technology in the engagement of citizens and civil society organizations in the process. And we need to be able to leverage better that role of technology.
It has been a decade since INEC began integrating technological tools into major aspects of the election process, and there are differing views about the efficiency and impact of these innovations. Therefore, the need for election stakeholders to review the current state of technology in Nigeria's elections, x-ray challenges of implementation and regulatory framework, broaden stakeholders' knowledge, and clarify some misunderstandings around these tools.
The INEC result view portal is not a collation system. The INEC result view portal is a system that allows result from the polling unit.
The technology will not drive itself, and unless the political elite commit to clean elections, technology will only slow down their malicious intentions, but will not eliminate it.
Representatives of political parties and selected civil society organizations from across the country were part of the stakeholders' dialogue. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Away from election matters to enhance knowledge on critical roles played by caregivers and elder care recipients as catalysts to transform the care system in Nigeria. A two-day workshop on onboarding domiciliary care agency model is on in Abuja to care quality assurance framework. Elizabeth Omari reports that the training is at the instance of NSCC and UNDESA to analyze international methods of geriatric care for domestication.
Nigeria has a substantial need for long-term care for older persons. This is because the aging population in the country is expected to reach 26 million by 2050. This care agenda aims to analyze policy documents, strategic roadmaps, and best practices in geriatric care to drive training, certification, and accreditation of caregivers, as well as provide support for families to cater to the needs of their older members effectively.
And it should be provided in the way that is most effective and reaches older persons and addresses their needs.
Increase investment in human capital development to further strengthen partnership and prioritizing the decade of healthy aging.
The move, the federal government insists, will enhance core skills and upgrade traditional care to meet global standards and address the multi-sectorial challenges of older population in the country.
Recognize redistributive care work among individuals as well as families, communities, private sector, federal and subnational government.
Instead of getting the older person to be resident in a facility, but you now put in an agency, accredit an agency, certify and license an agency with skilled operators to now get the care, the skilled care, with the care plan.
It is expected that the working groups come up with adoptable and workable solutions to address challenges within the geriatric value chain. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
As custodians of cultural heritage, traditional institutions in Nigeria seem to be gradually losing relevance and a role they play in maintenance of peace and order in their various domains, due to some factors associated with current realities. With the full autonomy granted to the local government councils, the well-revered institution is keeping hope alive in anticipation of better relevance in the grassroots. Kenneth Nani interacted with some stakeholders on this.
The level of government closest to the people and responsible for serving their political, social, and infrastructural needs is the local government. However, the stifling of local governments by some state governors have resulted in environmental degradation, infrastructural deficit, and lack of social services. This situation also stakeholders view as part of reasons that the traditional institutions are being relegated.
Some of the governors have appointed traditional rulers because of political reasons. And once you hold that title, people now look at you with disdain.
The role of traditional rulers should be
taken seriously if we have to succeed in both our economic and security stability in this country.
Consequently, the traditional institutions domiciled in the rural communities and being the oldest form of public administration, also designed to work in tandem with local government administrators, are now hopeful that they will be well placed to perform their duties effectively as custodians of culture and tradition.
I have seen a green light. If this money is fine, it's been sent to the grassroots. That is our local council chairman, and they are able to utilize it. It was the aid, the traditional institution.
Will the new status of the local government raise the performance bar for traditional institutions in Nigeria in contributing their quota towards national cohesion? Only time will tell. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Great question, Kenneth. We hope you follow up on that. Now, for Nigeria's growth trajectory to be further propelled, there is a need for reorientation and attitudinal change by citizens in carrying out their civic duties. This and the need to see governance as a collective responsibility, Nigerians say, is germane for the nation to attain greater heights. Joel Pokwola takes a look at why some Nigerians show apathy towards civic duties.
Everyone is desirous of a better Nigeria, but many, according to experts, are oblivious of the fact that this desire can only manifest if they play their own part as responsible citizens. It is a common phenomenon for Nigerians to perform their civic duties like voter registration, collection of PVCs, and other germane identity cards when there is a stipulated deadline or serves as a prerequisite to access government services like school enrollment, access to Medicare and other essential services. This attitude is an unwanted narrative respondents say must be changed.
If we are more committed to any issue, we'll be up and doing. I was trained to be proactive to issues.
We have this nonchalant attitude towards things, and we absorb things easily. Not until we are being pushed to the wall. That is when you will see us do this, do that, to start running it and scatter to do things. So I think we can do better.
Good governance is easier to achieve with good citizens who are accustomed to the performance of civic duties.
We like to pass buck. We don't like taking responsibility. We like to look for who to shift the whole blame to. And even if the government has their own role to play, we have our own responsibility also to perform as citizens.
No doubt performing one's civic responsibility as citizen, such as payment of tax and defeating the culture of procrastination, is germane to achieve the Nigeria of our dreams. In Lagos, Joel Pokwola, NTA News.
Let's pause and take some commercials. News Extra continues. At the start of the news, we did tell you that the Tigers were playing against the United States team, talking about the basketball games at the Olympics. Let's find out if the Tigers made it. Bade, what's the update?
All right, sadly, they've bowed out of the Olympics. All right, welcome to Sports Update. And of course, let's begin with basketball. As African champions, Nigeria, talking about the Tigers, have bowed out of the basketball event of the Olympics after a 74-88 points loss to defending champions and record gold medalist USA in the quarterfinal. The Tigers, who became the first African team to qualify for the last 8 at the Games, earlier floored FIBA World Number 3, Australia, and World Number 5, Canada, in the group stage. All right, let's talk athletics now, as Nigeria's Tobi Amusan as the woman to beat, as the record world holder breezed into the semi-finals of the Women's World. Easy peasy there for Amusan. Now, Ezekiel Nathaniel of Nigeria fell short in the men's 400 meters hurdles semi-final after finishing 5th in a time of 48.65 seconds behind Norway's Karsten Warholm and Francis Clement Ducour, who secured automatic qualification spots. Similarly, Udodi Onwuzurike missed out on qualification for the 200 meters men's final, finishing 7th with a time of 20.72 seconds in a race won by Arion Knighton in 20.09 seconds, while Samuel Ogaze missed out in the 400 meters final. Elsewhere, Ella Onujerevo is out of contention in the women's 400 meters final, finishing 6th in the semi-final in 51.05 seconds, while Dominican Republic's Marilady Paulino won the race in a time of 49.21 seconds. Away from athletics now, SL Peseraye finished 6th in Heat 1 of women's current track cycling event in 13 minutes 10 seconds, 10.8 seconds, missing out on an automatic spot in quarterfinal. Opeseraye will have another chance as she will compete in the repechage round. Well, out of 30 athletes, cyclists that competed in that event, she was the only African, and that's huge for Team Nigeria. That's a bit on sports. It's back to Yere.
Many thanks, Bade. Quite unfortunate for the Tigress, the DJ best, and we celebrate them. We hope that every other Nigerian still in the games, including Toby Amuson, brings home the medal. All right, or rather, medals. Now, the death has occurred of Archbishop Patrick Ebosele Ekpo at the age of 92. Archbishop Ekpo was ordained a Catholic priest in July 1963 and became the first indigenous Archbishop of Benin Metropolitan See. His episcopal ministry began in November 1971 as the coadjutor bishop of Benin City Diocese with distinction. He became the first Archbishop of the Nigerian Archdiocese of Benin City on 26 March 1994. The late Catholic Archbishop retired as the local ordinary of Benin City on 21st November 2006 and dedicated his post-retirement life to spiritual engagements and devotion to ecclesiastical elevation. Regarded as a man of peace and self-giving, his main presence will be missed by the congregation of both the faithful and the secular world. And that's News Extra tonight. Many thanks for investing your time with us. Do have a great night.